Mhm, 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 mhm. And we're live. Happy Friday, everyone. Welcome in. This is Sandra James with Living It with Sandra James, colorectal cancer survivor, living with a permanent ostomy. Welcome in, you guys. Jeanette, are you here? I see you have several different questions here. So while everybody's coming in, I'm going to go ahead and just start answering them. So your question outside of the one that I have up here on the screen. Well, let's read that one first. That's a very good question. I personally have had my feelings hurt thinking someone was my friend to find out they weren't or aren't. I consider you to be my friend, Sandra. Is it real? Well, I'm going to have to say, if we're still communicating and talking, and you're sitting here in the live right now, after 30 years, when we first met, it was 30 years. I'm going to have to say it's real. What do you think? Well, how do you feel about that question? Yes. And if you're on the replay, welcome in. Happy Friday to you. Those of you in the bushes, welcome in. Make sure you hit the like button as you come in or as you go out. The algorithm would appreciate it, and I will appreciate it as well. So, Jeanette, you said, would a friend tell your personal business? I'm gonna think no. Why would your friend tell your personal business? Usually, when you tell a friend something personal, is usually between you and them, and you would probably wouldn't even have to ask them not to share that information. If you have to ask them not to share the information, then that may be something to consider, because if you feel like you need to tell them not to share your personal business, you might want to think, if that's really your friend. I don't think that I would have to tell you not to share something that I shared with you. And I've never, over the past 30 years, I've never heard or known that you've shared anything personal about me with anyone else. So I would not expect my friend to tell my personal business. So that's a good question, though. And maybe when other people come in, we can revisit it, and we'll ask them as well if I don't get lost in the chat. So you said, would you expect your friend to lie for you? No, no. But I do have a friend that I don't think they've ever lied for me or ever felt that they needed to lie for me, but they have taken some hits for me. I'll say that, even been arrested because they thought when they were arresting her, they thought they were arresting me, and she didn't even tell them that it wasn't me. She just went with it and got arrested. So uh, that's an action of a friend. I wouldn't expect that from a friend, but it did happen, and so. But of course, I followed up, and that arrest didn't go into her having to serve any time or anything. So, but no, I would never expect my friend to lie for me. Let's see. Oh, here we go. So we have Grant in the house. Welcome in, Grant. Good to see you. Happy Friday. We got Sister Jackie in the house. I had the chat way up there, and looking at Jeanette's questions. My friend Jeanette is in the house today, and she's asking questions. So I'm gonna go through her questions, and if you I have a statement or a question in the chat. If you see it, you can answer it for me. I'm going to go back up to Jeanette's questions because she has quite a few questions here. So let's see. Okay, that's me saying welcome in. So Jeanette says, honestly, I expect my friend to accept me the way I am. I do expect them to lace my boots if I'm slipping, which is a good analogy for uh that's a good analogy for saying have my back, and let me know if something's coming that I need to know about so that I can be aware, is what she's saying. And she says, making bad decisions. I loved you since the first day we met. So Jeanette and I met 30 years ago, and we have carried a friendship for all of this time on up to today. And I am so happy to be in this friendship, in this relationship with her. And it's been a beautiful thing. We had a lot of good times. We had some struggles together, but we have been able to remain friends. And I wanted to talk about friendships today because I want to know from you all when do you consider a person a friend, and how do you determine your friendships? So let us know in the chat. I'm going to come on back down to the chat as I go through these questions. And Jeanette also said, have you ever loved someone to the point it made you sick? I think I would need a description of the type of sickness you would call it, because it could just mean butterflies or nausea, or you were just so in tune with that person that you had that what we call funny feeling inside. So if you want to share more about what that sick feeling felt to you, I would love to hear it. And so Jeanette also said, Jeanette had a lot of stuff to say today. I'm the kind of person that still believes in the fairy. Okay. So the fairy tale of relationships and or fairy tales of friendships, are you saying that you believe that friendships are the type that are something you would read or see in a fairy tale movie or in a book? Clarify for me what exactly the fairy is that you speak of. And then I had my question up here. When do you decide? Let me put it up here. When do you decide someone is a friend? I'd love to hear your responses and perspectives. So join me and let's talk about it. So let's talk about it. And again, welcome in Jackie and Grant. And then Jeanette said, how am I clicking on this stuff? Same, how come I can't talk on here? It's just not set up that way. We can talk through chatting. I can talk through here, but the chat remains a chat. I don't know. It's just the way it's set up. So Jeanette wants me to ask your viewers, how do they go about, I guess she meant go about having a real friend, and can you have more than one? Well, I can answer that on the last part of the question. Of course, you can have more than one because you have more than one. You have me, and then I know at least one other person that you have a friendship with. So, yes, I believe you can have more than one. And Jeanette wants to know from you guys, how do you go about having a real friend, and do you think that you can have more than one? So Grant said, such a great subject. I consider someone a friend when it's evident that it's a two-way relationship. So he's saying when he knows that he has a two-way relationship and not just one way. Like you, Sandra, your friendship is a two-way relationship. We lift each other up. Thank you, Grant, for saying that. And thank you for considering me a friend. I consider you a friend. And I'm going to come back to this because I also want to talk about and ask about friendships. Can they be formed even though you haven't been face to face with that person and you haven't sat down next to each other? You haven't sat down and had a meal with that person, and you haven't gone anywhere with that person. You haven't done anything, but you had social media access to that person and you formed a relationship, or you're forming a relationship with them through that form. Is that even possible? I'm going to have to say it is, because we're seeing it happen right now in real time. So yes, this is a good topic, and I'm looking forward to hearing what everyone thinks and feels and has to say about it. So Jackie says, "What if you didn't know it? What if you didn't know it was a secret?" Oh, that's a good question. It You would probably know. I'm guessing here. You would probably know that it was a secret, even if the person who shared it with you didn't tell you it was a secret. You would know it by the nature of what it was that they shared with you or what they told with you. You would be able to discern whether or not that is something to be shared. I reminded a friend about her ticket, and she said it was a secret from her husband. I did not know it was a secret, so a group of friends decided, okay, hold on, let me see here. So a group of friends decided when, and I think Jackie ran out of space. But, well, that's a little different, because you mean like a parking ticket or something like that, and you reminded her in front of her husband. Share more about what happened. Welcome in, Gen Z. Good to see you. Happy Friday. Welcome in from Turkey. It's been a while since I seen you. I've been seeing you in the YouTube streets, but this is the first time in a long time that I've seen you in a live. So thank you for being here and welcome in. And good night. It's nighttime in Turkey, I'm guessing. Yes. The friend group, they decided they didn't want it told. Okay, they decided they didn't want it told around others, and they told me. Oh, okay. Well, maybe these were some, are these solid friendships, or are these acquaintances? Are they loose friendships? What type of friendships was it? What type of friendship was it? So that's something else we can get. Yeah, Jeanette, I know what you meant about fairy tale. Okay, I guess I was right, but I wanted you to clarify. Um, yeah, maybe in that situation, um, these weren't like, you got to tell me more. You got to tell me more what type of friendships these were. My time, Abby. Welcome in. I know I didn't say your name right, your channel name right. Is it true that all your friends are diabetic because of your sweetness? How sweet is that? No, not all my friends are diabetics, but we can all become it because of our sweetness. We're all sweet, and thank you for that. Yes, yes. So Jackie says, "You, my friend, when you show yourself a friend, if not." Okay, Jackie, see, Jeanette, we were talking about typos earlier. We all have them. So I didn't quite catch what she said, but I think she's saying that, when you show yourself friendly, then you can have friends that way. I believe that's what Jackie meant. So I love genuine people who are being themselves. Yes, authentic. We talked about authenticity last week or the week before, where, we need to be who we are. If we can't be who we are, I don't know who we are gonna be. But I don't want to be friends with someone, come to find out the person who I thought I was being friends with turned out to be something and someone else. So I don't know. Jackie said that she loves genuine people who are being themselves, and so do I. And I believe that I'm authentic, and I believe that I can't be anything other than that. I can't be anything other than that. I don't want to be anything other than that. And it's take me or leave me. I'm here, I'm being me, and I just love to have engagement. I have friends, I have a few friends, and those friendships are on different levels according to the history we have, the time. Like Jeanette and I, we have been friends. We have had some breaks in our contact because of location. We're in different parts of California, but we have a friendship where we were also together face to face in real time. So and we shared our relationship with our children. Well, not so much mine, but hers. I've had an opportunity to meet at least one of her sons. And so, we've been together, we know each other, and as we have grown older over the years, we touch base, and it's like we never were apart. So I consider her a friend. I can tell her anything and everything, and she's not going to share the information unless she feels it's necessary. Now, if she feels something is necessary about my life, she's going to use her discernment with that. And if she needs to share something, she's going to share it. And if she does, I'm already going to know and respect why she did it. And there's going to be no questions asked, because I believe that anything she does like that is going to be for my own benefit. So I absolutely trust her. So she's telling me, she said, skip to someone else. It's just easier, Jeanette, to go down the chat. Otherwise I get lost. Jackie says there are different types of friends. Yes. So that's when we start saying friends, then we different types of friends, then we start breaking it up into fair weather friends, solid friends, acquaintances, and different levels of friendship. But today I'm talking about when you say, this is my friend, what does that really mean to you? And how did you come about qualifying that person as your friend? And Jeanette likes Jackie's answer. So Jackie says, you are my friend as long as you act like my friend. When you don't, you not. That's right. Because there are things that would let us know when a person is not our friend. And hello, the Nichols 13. I think that's Kizzy coming in the house. Welcome in. Happy Friday to you, Kizzy. Good to see you. Yes. So let me ask this question. Can you have a friendship or form a friendship or consider a person a friend if you never been face to face with them? I love you too, my friend. I love you, Jeanette. Always. I will always love you. And there's nothing you could do to make me not love you. I'm going to love you more and more as long as we're on this earth. I always have. I always will. So Jackie says yes. So Jackie, can you elaborate on that? And Grant, Kizzy, what do you guys say? Can you have a friend? Can you identify a person that you've never been face to face with and say, you are my friend? They're qualified to be your friend. And my answer to that question is yes. And I'm going to tell a little story. When I was incarcerated, I decided that I was going to do this pen pal thing that they had going during that time. And so I put my profile out there, and I had acquired a few pen pals. And I met this lady, and she came into the pen pal thing and identified herself as L. And so that was in like the year of 2003. And we communicated through correspondence for 7 years. And she shared a lot of her life with me. She even shared that her children was concerned that she was communicating, even though it was correspondence, and that she was communicating with somebody that was incarcerated. So, but when Elle was writing me, she was going under the name L, and she was using a P.O. box. And she used that P.O. box and that alias name, I think, for maybe 3 or 4 years. And I guess she felt like that was what the time she needed to get to know me. But she shared a lot of her life with me. But once I got released, she was the first person that I saw when I got released, because when I got picked up, I was taken to her house. And by then I knew what her real name was, and we had formed this friendship. And today, in 2026, we are still in this friendship, and we are still in this relationship, and we have kept conversation and contact from 2003 to 2026 to up until today. So yes, I believe you can form a friendship and call someone a friend, even though you have not met them at the beginning. You had not had face to face with them. So Grant says, yes, you can have a true friend that you've never been able to meet physically, like I have with you and Kizzy. And I 100% agree with that, Grant, because I do consider you a friend. You're always there for me. Even we're separated by different states, but we talk. We are on social media forum together. We have done live streaming together, and we talk personally on the phone. I'm gonna just put it out there. We talk personally on the phone, and we do church together too, because I come to Grant's church, and online, of course, and we have service. So I do consider Grant a friend. Yes, 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 yes. Jeanette says communication, being extremely open and honest. That is a qualification for a friend. And I have another friend that I think we've been friends for 40 years. I don't even know. We've been friends for a really long time, and even before I met Jeanette. And we were on the phone this morning. I drive over to her house. She comes over here. We've been together, and I know that she's my friend because during my cancer treatment, well, I knew long before then, but during my cancer treatment, after I came and after the surgery, after I came home and I was on the TPN, which is the um, nutrition that they give you through IV. She said, after a while of coming and visiting me and telling me how much I need to eat, and she felt like that nutrition wasn't working for me, she smashed up a banana. And she was like, you finna eat this, because if you don't start, even with the TPN on, if you don't start eating some food, you're never gonna be able to have your bowels functioning. She just felt like I needed to eat, and that nutrition uh, bag was not enough. And so, but I trusted her and I let her give me the banana. I trusted her when I was so thirsty, when I had the NG tube in my nose and I wasn't supposed to be, well, I couldn't eat anything. And I was always asking for ice and stuff like that. She would come to the hospital and sneak popsicles and give me popsicles to cool me off and to give my let my mouth get some moisture in there, even though I wasn't supposed to do it. And again, still I trusted her, and she was saying, "Oh, girl, this not gonna hurt you." So I accepted it and I let her do it, and she loved on me, and she took care of me, brought me blankets, and she's always just been there in my life, and I consider her a friend. And as I said earlier, she have taken some hits for me, and even been arrested because the police thought she was me. We did back then when we were younger kind of look like each other. And so, yes, Jeanette says my list will go on forever. Amen. So Jackie says, what do you do when you figure out someone is not your friend? Well, I would say you don't do anything. You just don't do the things that you were doing with them or for them that you were doing when you thought they were your friends. But I don't think that it's necessary to be mean or rude or disrespectful to them. You just put some space in between you and them, you know and it depends on what happened and how you discovered that they weren't your friend. That's something to consider as well, because there's absolutely a reason why you found out that they weren't your friend, and I'm interested to know what that could have been, if this is a real thing that has happened with you. But yes, trust is number one. I absolutely trust my friends, and I don't have a gazillion friends. I have a few friends. I have a lot of acquaintances. I have a lot of comrades. I have a lot of different people in my life, but not everyone that's in my life, I call them a friend. But I do have some friends, and I don't some people say that people should keep their circle small, and you should have very few friends. I don't know if I agree with that, because I'm always looking to befriend someone. you know I would love to have lots of friends, but they would have to qualify, as a friend. And that's someone who sometimes they don't have to give me advice or tell me what to do. Sometimes I just need that person to sit by my side, sometimes even in silence, and just be there and let me just ramble on, or let me vent, let me talk, let me share with you, and just allow me space to be myself. If you're doing that, because that's what I'm going to do for someone else. But if you're doing that in my life, then I'm going to consider you my friend. I'm going to consider you my friend if I can share something with you and trust you to keep my confidence. If I can trust you to speak on my behalf, if I'm not able to speak for myself, and that you would speak on my behalf in a way that you know me enough to know what I would be saying if that was me speaking. That's how intimate and how close and how deep my trust would be with that person. And the other friend that I was talking about that gave me the popsicles and brought me the blankets, I wasn't able to attend my mom's funeral because I was incarcerated. And I was incarcerated in a way where I was high risk. so I was not able to attend. And she went to my mom's funeral in my stead and represented me and sat in the space where I would have been sitting had I been there. And she was able to speak and say the things about my mother, because she knew my mother as well, that I would have been saying if I would have been standing up there. So, yes, trust is a big deal. And when a friend shows up for you when you can't show up for yourself, that's what I believe qualifies a person as a friend. I don't think you should be mean, but you cut off or limit access. Absolutely. Put that space, Jackie, put the space in between you and that person. Because if they're not your friend, and everybody doesn't have to be, you know, but if the person, as long as they're not an enemy, I think it's okay to not be friends, because we're not friends with every single person that we know, right? But as long as they're not an enemy, and even with the enemies, you know what the word of God says about that. So, but definitely I would have some space. There's some people that I have space between me and them because I know that they're not my friends, and it's not that they mean to harm me or are intending to harm me, but there's a certain level of trust that I cannot uh, give to them, and so I just keep the distance. What did Jackie say? Girl, I met you a hoot off lot. Oh, I bet you a hoot off lot. Yes, yes, girl. I'm fun. I'm fun, and I'm goofy. I'm easygoing, and I just be myself, and I allow other people to be themselves. And I don't think that I have any friendships or even past relationships, people that I was in up close and personal relationships with, that I'm no longer, in a relationship with them. I still have a communication with them as well. And there are no hard feelings, and there's still communication between us. But yeah, I am a hoot. I love to have fun, and I love to laugh, and I could be goofy sometimes, and I'm serious sometimes. Yeah. So, should you be friends with your kids or siblings? I Kids, there's a line. There's a fine line, you know, because if your kids don't know the boundaries, you can have an up close and relationship with your children, and you should. But friends, no. I don't think that I would call my son my friend, because still there's a line there, there's a boundary there, there's a level of respect there, and things that you share with your friends up close and personal, some of those things you wouldn't be sharing with your children. Siblings, I think siblings should be friends, but then still there's a level of boundary even with your siblings as well. But siblings, is more likely that siblings can be friends, but not your kids, not your children, even if they're grown. My son is like, I think he's almost 50, and I don't consider him a friend, but I do have a really close relationship with him, and I don't tell him everything, but I do share some things with him, and I go to him for his input and his feedback and his advice sometimes, and he is more than happy to give it. He is more than happy to give it. That, girl, it's okay. We talk about this all the time. It's hard to type in that thing sometimes. Jackie said, I used to tell them, I am not your friend. I am always your mother. Absolutely. Because when you let them cross that boundary, then they're going to be, that level of respect. You could lose that level of respect that you need to have with from your kids. And you also have to have a level of respect for your kids. But no, friendships with kids, absolutely not. Absolutely not, even if they're grown. Grant says he's headed to the gym since trainer is gone on Sunday. Thanks for this. You're welcome, Grant, and thank you for coming. Thank you for stopping by, and thank you for always showing yourself as my friend. I appreciate you. I'll see you in the next one. Yeah, so yeah, Jackie, I don't think so when it comes to your kids, even if they're grown, they're not your friends. Um, because I believe that when you treat your kids like you treat your friends, then you're crossing a boundary, and then you're allowing them to also cross that boundary, that respect boundary. Jeanette, are you still here in the house? And I hope I didn't miss anything. Kizzy, are you still here? I don't know. I think I've made it down to the bottom of the chat with Grant leaving. Yeah, Jackie said, the old saying. So, but yes, I just wanted to know. I even did a little short that I'm gonna put out after this, because friendships are important. I believe friendships are essential for life. Nobody can move through the earth alone. People try it. People believe that they can or they should, and that they don't need anyone else. Some people think that way. I think that without friends, the world would be a lonely place. It doesn't mean that everybody you come in contact with has to be your friend. And everybody doesn't have to be a friend to have a relationship or to have engagement with you. You know, there's all levels of friendship, all levels of engagement, all levels of acquaintances. So that's my take on it. But the friends that I have, I love my friends, I respect them, and they qualify. Just showing love and being able to, this is a good one. If your friend is able to tell you when you're wrong, right? They have your back while whatever the thing is that you're wrong about, they have your back and they support you while that's happening, but they will also be able to take you to the side and tell you when you were wrong. And if you are a friend to them, when they're telling you that you're wrong, and you know in your heart that you're wrong, or even if you don't know that you're wrong, that you will trust your friend enough to let you know that you're wrong, right? And you would trust your friend enough, if you don't know that you're wrong, to tell you why you're wrong and to help you to correct that wrong. That's a true friend. I always say, even if it hurts you, even if it hurts your feelings, I always say that the wounds of a friend is better than the kisses of an enemy. And I think that if your friend is not telling you the truth and telling you when you're wrong and helping you to right a wrong, then they're more of an enemy. And that's, they're smiling in your face, but they're not telling you the truth. I call that the kiss of the enemy. And so I don't want that. I want the truth, even if it's going to hurt me, because even if the truth from your friend hurts you, they're going to still come and give you that soothing, loving salve to put on your heart, and they're going to help you through whatever that pain is that you receive from hearing the truth. So that's my take on it. Yeah, thank you, Jackie. I think I am. Jackie says, You're easy to be friends with, Sandra. I believe that is true, and um, the next time I'm in communication with my friends, and Jeanette is still in here. She said, yes, I'm here. And so are the kids. So I have to leave for now. Okay, so she had to leave because she picked up the kids and she's going to take them to go do some fun stuff. But that was so cool that my friend of 30 years came and visited me in this live today. That really blessed my heart. And I love that she flooded the chat with questions, and she said out loud in front of everybody that she loves me. And so that's awesome. That's really awesome. Yes, Jackie, really sweet. Welcome in, JC. Happy Friday to you. Good to see you. JC, we were talking about um how we determine. Okay, happy Friday to you, and thank you so much. So we were talking about how we determine our friendships, or how we determine someone is a friend. Okay, Jackie, you gotta go. Thank you for stopping in. And it's almost time for me to land the plane anyway. So I really appreciate you. But JC, how have you been and what's going on with you? It's good to see you here. We're talking about friendships. One of my friends of 30 years came to share with us today in the chat and talk about our friendship, and she asked me some questions. Yeah. Yes, yes. So that's good to know. And I just decided to talk about friendship today. I had some free time on a Friday. I'm never live on a Friday. And I was just like, let me just ask everybody, when and how do they determine when a person is a friend? And so we talked about that. As you can see from the chat, we had a good conversation about it. I think friendship is important. I think that we can't move in this earth without at least one friend, at least one. I have more than one friend, and I'm sure most of us do too. But I think the world would be boring, and the world would be bland, and the world would be harder to navigate without having friends. Yeah, so that's my take on it. And as always, when I come live, I'm always wanting to talk about the things that, the everyday things in life, not always about that one particular niche subject, that niche topic that I have with the colorectal cancer and living with the permanent colostomy. That's always going to be here. And I'm always going to be sharing and talking and helping in that space. But everyday life comes along with the colorectal cancer journey. It comes along with living the daily life with the colostomy. So I always want to come when I come live and have free time to talk about the things that we care about in everyday life. And so here I am talking about how do we determine our friendships. So how do you determine your friendships, JC? I focus on daily life. Yes. Yes. Thank you, JC. How do you determine your friendships, JC? How do you know when someone is your friend? How do you say, okay, I can call this person friend? By the things they say and do. Okay. Because they're going to be saying the truth to you. They're going to be saying supportive things to you. They're going to be encouraging you in your challenges and in your life struggles, and they're going to be having fun with you. And you're going to be able to trust them, right? They're not going to take the personal things that you share with them, that you only shared it with them. They're not going to take that and go share it with someone else. How they show up for me when I'm not around. Yes, how they represent you. Like earlier, I was talking about, well, perhaps that's what you mean. Earlier, I was talking about my friend of 30, 40. I don't even know how long we've been friends now. It's been so long. And I wasn't able to attend my mother's funeral because I was incarcerated and I was high risk. So I wasn't even able to be let out for that moment. And she showed up for me and she attended my mom's service and she spoke on my behalf and she said the things about my mom that I would say if I was there and I didn't even have to tell her what to say because that's how close of a friend she is to me. Or they come and check on you, JC. Right. You also said, well, they are also going to be honest. Yes, they're going to be honest. They're going to tell you the truth. They're going to keep it real with you. And they're going to tell you when you're wrong, but they're not going to correct you or tell you when you're wrong in front of other people, right? You said my closest friends have permission to tell me what I need to hear. That's right. That's right. And if they are your friends, they're going to tell you what you need to hear, and they're going to even tell you what you don't want to hear, right? But you know that you need to hear it, and they're going to let you know. That's right. That's an amazing testimony. Thank you for that. Yes. Yes. Chris Lee is in the house, y'all. Ha ha. Some correct me in front of others. you know, but even that correction can be with love and grace and not in a way where you feel shame or feel disrespected or hurt at that time. My friend, the one that calls me bestie, she be letting me have it and letting me know all the time. Great day, Chris. Good to see you. Jerry G, welcome in. Happy Friday to you. And Jerry G is saying hello. Everybody's saying hello to everyone. So, but yeah, Chris and Jerry G, we're talking about friendships. I was asking, how do you determine your friendship? How do you know when someone is your friend? How do you choose them? How do they choose you? How do you show up as a friend? Yes. Yes. So that's what we're talking about. And I was sharing a little bit about a couple of friendships that I had earlier in the live. One of my friends of 30 years who she may have been live with me once before, but she showed up today and spent some time with me and with the chat, everybody here in the chat. And she said some things out loud about our friendship and about the love we have for one another. When they keep their word, amen. Do your friends keep their word? And do you, as a friend, keep your word? I always keep my word. And when I can't keep my word, when I find out that I'm not going to be able to show up or I'm not going to be able to do what I said I was going to do, I let them know that as soon as I know it. And the first opportunity that I get to follow up on that thing, I follow up on that thing. And I don't forsake my friends. And I always, always tell them the truth. I always tell them the truth, even if it hurts, because sometimes the truth does hurt us. But if your friend can't be honest and can't be real and they can't keep their word, I'm not going to think that they're a friend. Yeah, so JC said, if you can't be honest with a friend for fear of their rejection, that should be considered. Yes, it absolutely should, JC. That should absolutely be considered. Because when you have a relationship, a friendship, there should not even be a place where you have to fear something in that relationship. You're going to be rejected because of something that's being said or something that's being shared or being made known in that relationship, in that friendship, is going to cause rejection. No, no. There should even be any fear in a relationship. Now, building one, in the process of building one, there may be some concerns and some caution and maybe even some fear, when you're building a relationship, or a friendship. But once you have established that person is your friend, and you have established yourself as being that person's friend, then there should never be any fear of rejection. And like JC said, if there is, that should be considered. I absolutely agree with that. Usually we can laugh about it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. One of my friends, one of my good friends, oh my goodness, we still laughing about. I was talking about it earlier, how when I was in the hospital and I had the NG tube, and they didn't want to give me ice because you get dry, you got this thing going on down your nose, all down your throat, and you're not taking in any really fluids or anything because you're so distended that you can't. And I used to, when she would come visit me, I used to be telling her, I just want some ice, so she would sneak popsicles into the hospital and let me suck a little bit on the popsicle, and but managing it. And I felt that, only a friend would do that, and smashing up bananas when she felt like I needed to eat something, even though I had the pick line in there and I was on the nutrition feeding. And she was always telling me, you're not gonna be able to have any output if you don't eat something. You're gonna have the output, from the nutrition, but you need some food. And she felt like it was time to eat after weeks of being on that NG tube, and she was smashing up bananas and potatoes and feeding it to me with her fingers. And it worked. It actually worked. And after about a week of her doing that, I was able to come off the TPN, and when I began to eat, and she was telling me, girl, I told you, they don't know everything. But even if she was wrong about that, I allowed her to do it because I love her and I trust her. I trust her with my life. And she just happened to be, okay and correct in some ways with that. But I trusted her and I trust her, and we've been through a lot, and we are truly friends, and we will cut the world off before we allow anyone or anything to separate us. It's a really beautiful, beautiful friendship. And I think that we all need at least one in our life, and somebody that can sit on the porch with us and not even talk. And sometimes we don't even have to talk, and we know what we're thinking, and sometimes just being there, sitting in silence, and just knowing that you're close and someone is close to you that cares about you, that can take your hand and just hold your hand, or cry with you. Everything. Friendships are a beautiful, beautiful thing. Friendship is a beautiful thing to have. And I am so happy that I have them. Before I go, and because you guys just came in, earlier I had asked, do you think that you can call someone a friend that you have never met face to face? You've never had a meal with them. You've never had a sleepover with them. You've never been with them in any other place outside of maybe social media or on the phone. Can you consider them a friend? That's my question as I get ready to land my plane. Can you consider someone a friend that you've never been face to face with? And I'm going to answer yes, because I've had it happen in my life before. Chris says yes. Yes, you can. And not all friends, but some are friends. Yes, not everything and everybody. But I do believe that you can have a friendship with someone or call someone a friend that has never been face to face with you. I had a friend that I met while I was incarcerated, because most of my life I have spent in incarceration. Um, I met her through a pen pal thing in 2003, and we remained in communication all the way until 2010 when I was released. And finally, we did come face to face, and we are still friends today. We talk on the phone all the time. And she was the first person to embrace me when I was released. And regardless to what other people felt about her trying to form a relationship with someone who was incarcerated, she believed in it. She did it anyway. And she didn't let anyone tell her that she should not be communicating and in contact with me. And all of these years later, we are still friends and we are still together. But it started off at a distance. And yes, she did use a fictitious name in the beginning, but after a while of communicating with me, she revealed her real name, her real address, and all of that. And when I came home, she brought me to someone took me to her house. I stayed the night with her, and then we connected again. She took me on a shopping spree. She bought me my first coat, and we met all the time, like every other weekend, even though she lived a different distance from me. And now she's in another state, and we are still friends. And we have had grandchildren together. We have done so many things and talked about many things face to face and at a distance. So, absolutely, yes, you can call someone or consider someone a friend even when you have not met them. But you can also, and let me say this before we close, you can also consider someone a friend and later discover that they're not. And so, with that being said, it is our responsibility. And let me get JC's comment, because I was just talking. I've had close friends outside and in person. I work virtually with people for over 10 years. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So outside of being in person, and you form relationships and friendships. Yeah, we can absolutely do it. And we can also do that and come to find out that that person wasn't who they presented themselves to be as well. And so that's normal, because that's human nature. And so it's our responsibility, is what I was getting ready to say, to be able to discern and know when we can call someone or determine someone to be a friend. And I always believe that there are more friends to be had in this world, and I am looking for them, and I'm sure they are looking for me. And if I can ever become a person's friend, I'm absolutely all in for that, because I know who I am and I know how I can be towards someone else. I'm not going to be pretending, and I'm never going to come and pretend to be something that I'm not. And if you are right with me the way I am, then, you know, here I am. So, with that being said, I want to thank you guys for being here today. I'm going to be live again on Sunday at the same time, 3 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, at 3 o'clock every Sunday. And I don't know what we're going to be talking about, but whatever we're talking about, I hope to see you there. Thank you again for being here, and I'll see you in the next one. Have a great, great weekend, everyone.
Living it stronger every day, living it, finding my own way. Colostomy life, I say it plain. Colorectal cancer didn't win the game. Living it, yes, yeah. Living it, yeah. I'm confident and brave. Living it with Sandra James.